justice for all. Thank you all for coming this evening to our November 20th meeting. To start off, we're going to have a presentation to William Pence, who recently retired. Chris, would you like to, Bill, if you want to come up? You want the microphone?
No, I'm good. Yeah, big voice. Big voice. So, for everybody who doesn't know, Bill retired in September after 27 years.
Almost, yeah,
27 years of service to DPW. Started out as a part-time water meter reader to the sewer plant. 20 years there, and then it was 6 years he came under me with the DPW, and retired from there. He was also shop steward for 15 years. So, long time, knows a lot of ins and outs of the village. Certainly be missed our conversations we've had. So in recognition of your retirement, the village would like to give you a plaque. And, service.
Thank you.
I'm going to read it off to you if that's okay. Yeah, Billy started, and I think, man, I was elected in 91. Marge was mayor in 96.
That's when I started.
So that's when you started under Marge Almadar, which, wow, a lot of time, God rest her soul too. So with the congratulations on your retirement, William E. Pence, in recognition and appreciation for your dedication and years of service, of outstanding service to the Village of Washingtonville from 1996 to 2023. Thank you, ma'am. No speech?
No speech.
I'm sorry?
I want your speech.
Yeah, we'll do pictures. Hey, Chris, you want to grab a picture, or Bill, you want a picture with your family?
Sure.
Was last first?
Yeah, two of us and then. Can you take the picture?
Absolutely. Is this on? Did you turn this on? Okay. Smile.
Cheese. Cheese.
Follow the board behind you. Great.
Thank you.
That works
Thank
good.
you. Hey, would you mind one more with the family?
Of course. Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm gonna stop for the picture.
I want to smile for the picture.
Picture?
It's a Facebook opportunity.
Right?
Yeah,
here.
right.
There we go.
Thank you.
Very nice. Yay.
Don't put no Snapchat filters on that. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chris. Nice job. Okay. All right, to start, we have a public hearing, 7 p.m., local law adopting revisions and extensions of the village land use for the moratorium. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing? Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Can someone keep track of the voting and the motions and seconds, please?
Mayor, I'm doing that.
You got it?
Great.
Thank you, Chris, appreciate it, thank you. Okay, so with that, have a motion to open the public hearing? Okay, we got that, all right. So the public hearing is now open. If anyone has any question on the moratorium, I'll let Donna give an update, but just briefly, the moratorium has been in effect for approximately getting close to 6 months, and we're at a point where we need to extend it, and that's where we are. So I'll let
Donna, who's been liaison to the comp committees and so forth, she can give a little bit of an update to that.
Okay, so this is actually the second 6-month extension that we've received. So it's about a year now. We've been in moratorium, December 1st, make a year. We hired a planner back in June. Her name is Bonnie Franson. Her assistant is Sam. The firm is Nelson, Pope, and Vardis. They've been doing a phenomenal job. The committee meets here once a month. It's now a committee of about 10 people. And they meet for a good 2 to 2.5 hours once a month. The committee is free to meet any additional time if they choose to without the planner. That's exactly what happened this month. So we started out with a baseline inventory. It's basically where we're at, the point, the demographics, the zoning, our current status. And then we take that information, and the second piece is the vision and the goals. That's what's currently being worked on now. A lot of you probably know a survey recently went out. We asked for your feedback. It was a mini survey. That will end Thursday. From there, we'll take the results from the mini survey, create a larger survey, and it really is giving the residents an opportunity to discuss what the issues are in the village, what we would like to see moving forward, because theoretically, this is going to be your village the next 10 years. This is a projected plan for at least a decade. So we are also going to have a workshop. It's a hands-on workshop. We were shooting for December. It doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point. Maybe January. Gives the residents an opportunity to actually come in. We'll have probably stations set up. Again, more feedback from you, the more the better. We really are encouraging resident participation in this. It's your village, it's your tax dollars. We want to know what you want. We want to know what you think the problems are. From there, a draft comprehensive plan will be drawn up. And there will be a public hearing for that. Following that piece will be the zoning. So they will be, the codes will be rewritten. We would have potential rezoning in certain areas, depending on what the committee comes up with at that point. And after that piece is done, the very last part would be the SECRA. It has to go to the state. We have to determine if what you want to see happen can actually take place based on the environmentals. So we're fairly much on target, not completely. We're a little bit behind at this point. So this extension, this 6-month extension will bring us to June 1st. And then we'll kind of reassess and see what the needs are, potentially extend it if need be. But we don't want to rush it. This is critical to this village. It's not been done since 95.
Mid-90s.
It's recommended every 7 to 10 years. So. Any questions? Did you all get the survey? Did you fill it out?
Pretty sure everybody got it.
We
so.
got around 100 back. There's 6,000 residents.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the board? Any comments? Okay. Thank you very much for that update, John. Next is public comment. For anybody in the audience who might have a question, comment, agenda items, non-agenda items.
Yep,
Oh, yeah, thank you. Have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
You have to adopt it.
Thank you. Yeah, we do that later. We'll get
It's
that.
farther down. Steve, trustee Preston, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You guys. Next is public comment. Yes, sir.
Sean Hagerty, 4 Belvoir Drive. When are they putting the skateboard park back together?
The skateboard park back together. That's a good question. We had some requests to put one of the pieces of equipment back in there. One, when we were taking it apart, I believe, Chris, am I correct, that one of the pieces broke? So we're only down, I think, to what they call that half pike, or half,
It didn't do any good that when they dumped it on the side of the, half still in
well, again, we put that there somewhat temporarily before we were gonna make a decision to bring it back on there, or bring it down to, the DPW area. So we weren't, basically trashing it there, we just put it up over to the side, yes.
And where the pickleball court's going in, why wasn't it paved completely?
Because we're just watching the budget on the money that we're using to create the pickleball courts.
Wouldn't it have been smarter to pave all of that, so you don't have to bring somebody back to finish it, which is gonna cost more, which was your comment about having to go over to not doing all of that, or doing all of that and doing the
Well, like I
skateboard
said,
park.
we wanna make sure that we
Cost-
can
gonna
finish
cost
the
us more.
pickleball courts, because we have fencing, right, that still needs to be completed, the painting that still needs to be done, and of course, the netting that still needs to be done. Whatever money was left over, we felt that, then at that point, if we have extra money, or we can budget for that money for next year, then we'll entertain, obviously, finishing that paving, because that'll either be expansion if pickleball really takes off, or there are yoga classes and kids use that area for just playground, so
Well, that's why it should be
that's the
paved,
thought.
because you were complaining, saying you had to do the
I understand
skateboard
that.
park because of the
The whole
cracks.
thing, Sean, is all about what we have money-wise.
But I'm going by what you said.
I
You
understand.
said they had to do the skateboard park because of all the cracks, and there were only seams.
Right.
They were not cracks, and there's pictures. Over there's people tripping and kids falling because of the cracks and the bad shape it's in. That should have been completed. You're gonna wind up in a lawsuit,
Okay, I understand.
you know?
We, like I said, if we ran out of money and we couldn't put the fencing up for the pickleball courts or get that completed, I feel that would have been somewhat of a little bit more of a waste as well. If we can get one project done and then move on to the next, that's what we wanted to do.
But now you have two incomplete, because now the skateboard park is broken.
Well, we're not sure what we're gonna do at the skateboard park.
Well, if you're gonna go what you've been planning for years, it's gonna become part of the softball league. They tried to get them out of there once before, saying that the boys were sweating and annoying the girls, distracting the girls. And that was softball, trying to remove them.
I coached girls softball for 15, 16, 17 years, and I never heard that comment before.
It was
It's been-
brought up at this meeting.
That field is a girls softball field,
Right.
primarily. If the season is over and they're done with all their state tournaments and everything else, there is a boys' team that does use the fields for indoor field practice. But that's it. Anything else beyond that, we don't know.
Well, the comment was made from the league here at a meeting. And they would like that out of there to use it for softball. So I'm wondering if that's what's gonna be going on.
I'm a little confused.
Was it village board meeting,
Yeah,
and the gentleman from the softball league said they would like to see if they could have the skateboard park removed, because the boys were distracting the girls playing softball. But I would say the girls could have been distracting the boys skateboarding also. It's on tape, or it should be in your meeting minutes, wherever it may
Troy, do
be.
you know what month?
I do not, no.
no, I don't.
It's a while ago.
Was it recently, or?
It's maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
So,
It's
yeah.
not just recently, but as government works, things go slowly. So having that equipment taken off there, when it really didn't need to be taken off, to me seems a little suspicious. And to not
Suspicious in
finish
what
the
way?
paving over by the pickleball.
Suspicious in what way?
Well, that maybe you wanted it off there and it's broken. Chris at one point said if we have to move it, it's gonna break. I brought that up at the meeting.
We didn't say it was gonna break, or we knew it was gonna break. First, everybody
Possibly.
said it was everything, well, everything is possible at the
Right.
end of the day. We moved it not for it to break, obviously, but it did. So,
Go look where they dumped it.
I saw where they dumped
Yeah.
it. Thank you, I saw it, yeah.
The other thing is the retention pond. The state says it's the village's responsibility to fix that.
That's correct, and we are.
Okay, so you are. The last time
We
I
went
spoke
out
to you about
there-
it, you said it was only down 6 inches, we're not worried about it.
Well, we went out there, we inspected it, someone had called DEC, we spoke to them.
It may have been me, I called
Okay,
these.
I mean, whoever, didn't say, they didn't respond.
It wasn't just
we
me,
didn't
there was
ask.
other people I called
That's
also.
fine too. We went out there, we know what we're gonna do, but right now, because again, the wetness of the ground, we're gonna wait for it to dry up so we can go in there and repair it.
Okay. Will they be putting the fishing area back? Which you used to run nice fishing tournaments over there.
We need to look at it, I don't see why not, because it was.
There any
we
other
always had
pond?
fun, you
There is
know,
no way to go
over
fishing
there.
at
We
either one of
had
those
the,
ponds anymore.
The fishing derbies in the summertime and
Correct.
stuff, yeah. Yeah.
The pickleball, is it gonna be a league, and are they gonna be paying fees to the village?
There's no plan for a league to be there at the moment, no one has approached us to use it. It's there for the residents to use,
All right,
and that's the current plan.
all right. Because when the skateboard park was, most of that money came from residents, as donations, and the same with the hockey rink. So if they are coming in there as a league, they should be paying the fee to the village.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge if someone comes to us and asks us that, yeah. But it's, right now, it's gonna be basically used for the residents,
All right,
yeah,
First come, first served.
yeah. The other big thing that we're looking at over there too, Sean, so you know, cost-wise, is the lighting and the electric that hasn't been used in many, many years. And the lighting, we're not sure that it even functions anymore. The wiring is bad to say at least, so we're looking at potentially replacing all the wiring so everything is upgraded, everything is new. The GFIs that are out there are all broken, all the conduit piping is broken, so we're looking at replacing all of that. Without going out to bid, we have one quote at $36,000. And that's without even improving the lights or seeing if
are
they're
we,
still
we should be
functioning.
under fiscal restraints as far as I'm concerned, if the financial situation we're in is true.
Mhm.
So then we should be not doing some of these things.
Well, these things were, again, are being done by recreation money that's supplied by the developers.
Then why didn't you finish paving the other half of the park? You just said you're almost
Because
out of
I just
money.
told you why, because we were saving the money to see what else needed to be done. Like I mentioned, the fencing, the painting, the lighting.
That could've
all
came
adds
later.
up. You know, there should have been probably an additional umpteen, I'll get you the number. But when we got here, the recreation fee account was zero.
The last
So the
12,000
money
that they
was
collected
put in
from
there
Rieger was bought
all the other
for sled.
phases never made it.
All the other what fees?
The other phases of other projects that the money was supposed to be in there was gone.
But that was from multiple administrations probably not collecting it, not going after it.
I don't know if they collected it or if they had it and then or spent it.
They probably weren't collecting
Because
it.
it
They
doesn't
weren't
make
collecting
any
it from
sense why
Rieger,
they
right?
wouldn't have collected it.
They didn't collect it from Rieger until they were pushed.
I don't know, we got in, we saw that there were,
Well, Joe was
parts of
looking
the
for it because I
development
brought it
were
up to
not
him.
done. The road still needed to be dedicated, we're gonna do that this evening. And that's when we came to a calculation with the Rieger homes and they're going to be giving it, it's $85,000 to $87,000.
Right.
And that money is going towards the pickleball. And
So
the
what money
paving
did
and
you pay
everything
for
else.
with the paving already?
I'm sorry?
What money did you use to do the paving already?
What
If
money?
if you haven't received it,
Right, we use village funds. And then this money will
we should be
repay.
in fiscal restraint right now.
I'm sorry?
Why should we be spending that money, village funds? You could have waited until the summer.
Potentially could have waited till summer, but we wanted to get the project done.
All right,
Okay?
it doesn't make sense, I'll be honest with you.
What?
We should be in fiscal restraint, you're using village funds for recreation, the recreation money will be coming, you should have held it off and spent the recreation money.
Mhm.
So now that 78,000, or whatever you spent is out of the funds, and if we needed that in an emergency, you're gonna attack the loan that you took, or ban, or whatever it's called,
Well,
and then we'll have interest to pay.
the one thing, and I'm sure you know this, that the village did receive its funding, right? So
Yeah.
we've been basically made whole. But, you know, again, as we've discussed this at every meeting, is that this is just a loan that's gonna have to be repaid. And we knew that everything was completed with the Riegers, with Rieger Homes. And the check was, basically will be here tomorrow. That money will be then deposited into the multi-fund, and it's done. That money and the extra money that will be coming in will go right into the recreation fund to be spent on recreation, as all the 3 parks were done, same way.
All right.
Okay. Anything else, John?
Maybe later.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I got one thing.
Yeah, I did.
You talking about where the hockey rink was?
Yeah.
Okay. Originally, when that came up to the village board, it's going back, not you, went way back, was not to cost the village 1 penny. That was gonna be supported by the hockey pitch. And all of a sudden, we got it and had to repair it.
Well, the hockey team way back when, again, with village funds, we basically gave them that piece of village green area.
Right.
We, the village, paved the space. The hockey organization did everything else. They built it, they painted it, they did the lighting, they did everything. And, you know, that was, again, probably going back to the 90s and whatnot, so,
Late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Late 80s, early 90s. that
Yeah.
was.
I think they used to do the restrooms down there.
Yeah, and then we ended up building restrooms because the park was, you know, developing, we had the playground going in, and so on, so, yeah.
But as I say, originally, the whole thing was, the village won't have to cost anything, it's all gonna be self-supporting, but as we know, that never works out.
Well, I gotta be honest with you,
It was until
for the
then.
most part, hockey didn't come to us for anything.
No.
I mean, all they needed was, you know, some area of pavement to do, and we did that, and they had crews down there every day, every weekend, building it, and then had enough money to get the lights up. You know, and that thing was used for years.
Yeah,
Until roller hockey, you know, the interest in the kids got older and, you know, it just didn't continue. But for the most part, that thing was a tremendous hit.
Oh, it's
Kids
a
were
good thing,
busy,
I'm not saying
they had
that.
tournament, yeah. But, yeah. Any other comments, questions? Okay. So moving on to board discussion, just wanted to let everybody know that Emerson Drive and Secord Lane, that the lead pipe survey had been completed. We have all the information, and in that area, there were no signs of any type of lead piping. So that's all done. Moving on to B, for our next phase will be the downtown area, North Street, Bull Road. For the notifications, we'll be reaching out to those residents and business owners that will be trying to then check those homes for any type of lead piping. And we should be able to get those letters out within a couple of weeks, probably right in between. What do you guys think would be a better idea to kind of wait until after Christmas? I think so too, right?
Well, and also North Street, when we start to do the pavement project there and get it dug up, we'll find out a lot that way.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be a major project.
All right, so we'll say after New Year's. Okay. Also, we have, our Department of Public Works, backhoe was vandalized at a location down by Burn Allen Park. Someone took the opportunity to throw rocks through all the windows of our backhoe, and the bill is somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, $7,500? So we're in contact with the insurance company and waiting to hear back from them on the damages and repairs. As everyone knows, the paving of Ahern Boulevard from North Street to Washington has been completed, along with Secord Lane and Emerson Drive. The handicap Mats have been installed. I know we're in discussions of, installing the crosswalks that were there, and potentially we might have to paint a line in the road. So I think that's, I'm not sure if that can be done with the weather the way it is right now. It could be iffy. But that project is done.
Mockingbird is next on the paving list.
Yeah, and on the paving list, we have the short sections of Mockingbird and Peacock, and the driveway entrance that we have over at 208 to the parking lot. And some fairly large holes that we'll take care of that. That job will be an in-house job with our DPW and some with town equipment. So we'll get that done at basically just cost of asphalt and our time. So we're going with that. And kind of forecasting for next year, North Street is on our list, but the infrastructure piping is in very poor condition. So that will have to be kind of phase one of that project, is to get all the infrastructure drainage repairs done, get the pipes replaced. We're working on that particular pricing and figuring out how much pipe and scope of the job, depending if we can all do it in-house or we have to potentially maybe contract some of it out, and it depends on what the amount is. We don't have a lot of money floating around. We did have $403,000 from the CHIPS money that we had been accumulated and not spent. So we just spent a good chunk of that, but we'll get reimbursed when we submit the receipts.
We have Lincoln on the list for the spring too.
And Lincoln Drive, which is in, same thing in that particular street, a lot of the drainage is deteriorated and that needs to be replaced. That's another road on the list for next year. During the winter months, we plan on evaluating all the roads, giving them some kind of a grading system so we can figure out what roads need to be done from a priority standpoint, and as well as sidewalks and curbs. So there'll be obviously more to come on that. Let's see. So next is what's coming up on December 2nd, which is the Blooming Grove Chamber of Commerce and our event committee, along with the Hot Rod Clubs. We're gonna have the annual Christmas Fire Truck Parade. That'll be on December 2nd. Starts around 6 o'clock and runs from Ahern Boulevard down 94 and ends through the village. And trucks normally go down to the high school and then disperse from there. But in the afternoon from 12 to 5 will be Whoville, and that will be at E.J. McLaughlin Square, as well as the Veteran Memorial area across from the pharmacy. There'll be vendors and food and gifts and things like that. So if you can make it, please try to attend. Another item that we started to look at this point is reviewing our employee handbooks. That has not been updated in some time. So we're looking at the policies and procedures on that, and Donna and Vernon are taking the lead on that attack. So there'll be obviously more to follow on that. Trustee Presser has been working on and completed the auditing of all O&R meters and accounts, descriptions of things. We found a number of discrepancies throughout some of the meters. So we've met with O&R, sat down, reviewed everything, corrected the accounts, got rid of some accounts, and labeled everything a little bit more easier, so if someone needs to find something, they know where it is. So thank you for that, Steve, appreciate your efforts on that. Do you have anything you want to add? No?
Basically, it worked out well. I'm just waiting for corporate to get back to us and make sure that they made the changes that we needed made. So
Good.
I think everything finalized well.
Good, great. Next audit that Steve's gonna be working on is the telephone lines, all the telephone systems and the internet accounts, checking those out for accuracy, if there's any duplication, replication. along with cell phones and all the Frontier phone lines. So that's in progress. Next, for the entire board and other office employees, as well as our DPW, sometimes to be funded for FEMA disasters, you need to take your incident command classes, which is a 100, 200, and 700. Those are online classes that we'll be taking. They're generally about a couple of hours long. And then from there is a 400 class that's actually a classroom environment that will be, I know I'll be taking it. I think potentially Chris from DPW might need to do that, as well as the deputy mayor and Christine Shankman, our village clerk. So more to come on that. I attended an Orange County Executive monthly update. County executive is now holding meetings for towns, villages, cities, mayors, and just, going over updates, things that are going on within the county regarding just a variety of different things. We talked a little bit about ambulance corps districts, fire districts, sales tax coming in, and if any, then it was just an open conversation between the towns and villages if they had any questions on any different subjects. So it was a good meeting. It will continue to be a monthly follow-up, so it's a good meeting to get everybody together. Next is our Architecture Review Board. I'll turn this over to Donna. This board, like several other boards, were newly created back in April when we came into office. They just had one of their probably first applications and one of the probably a little bit more complicated applications, and they did a really terrific job, and I'll let Donna kind of briefly go into some of the details and follow up.
So like Tom just said, it is a new board. We've had an ARB before, but it's been many, many years. So typically, if there is not an architectural review board, the village board makes those decisions for signage and such. Now that we have the board, they're making those decisions. So it's actually their third application. They had Laura's Deli first, they had Washingtonville Dental, and then they get hit with Sunoco. Sunoco is probably the largest signage that our village will see. They have 3 parcels over there. It was very intricate. There's signage on it. You all know Sunoco. There's signage on the canopy. It's got the NASCAR colors and logos. They have a cabinet out front where all the pricing is. It's internally lit. They have the A+ store where there is more signage, and that I believe also is internally lit. So we are adhering to our codes, and our codes say no internal illumination. I have to say Sunoco couldn't have been any better about this. And not only is there no internal illumination on any of the signage now, there's also some verbiage in our codes referring to bright colors, distracting colors. We now have a new color palette for our village for signage. They're historical colors. We're trying to get back to that historical look and maintain the integrity of our historical village. That was going to be tough. I didn't know how it would go over with Sunoco. There's corporate to deal with. It's not just like a deli sign. And when I tell you I couldn't have been more pleased, they didn't bat an eye. So all of their traditional corporate signage, they were willing to trade for our historical color palette. Another part of our code, you're allowed 1 sign per parcel. So they have signage above all of their pumps. Right there alone is what, 8? They have signage up on their canopy. That's a big part that covers the pumps. Next, this is all 1 parcel. And the cabinet out front with the pricing. that's still on that same parcel. So that was a ton of signage. They had to pick one. And of course, they're keeping their cabinet out front with the pricing. No more internal illumination, like I said. And now everything else that has signage on it, they're making they chose one color from our palette, and it will be a solid color. So it's gonna be a completely different look. We worked real hard on this, and I couldn't be any happier with the way, not just, corporate handled this, but the owner as well. It was a team effort, and the ARB, our board, was fantastic with questioning everything, because it's setting a precedent moving forward. And like I said, we wanna go back to the historical feel and keep that integrity here, so. It got approved last week, and they should be starting shortly, as soon as they get their permits. They hoped to have it complete before the year's over, we'll see.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay. Our next item was basically Susan, Deputy Mayor, attended a 6th annual Heroes Walk honoring one of our police officers this past Saturday from 11 to 1. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Susan, would you like to give a
It was,
brief update?
it was nice. The officer that they honored is not just a police officer, he's also served in 3 separate branches of the military. And the Girl Scouts did it, so it helps them to learn more about service, which is, we're a country built on service. Whether it be military or service to one or another, that's what makes America what America is.
Was it well attended?
Not too much,
No.
but also I think the threat of rain kind of took people off a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions, comments?
What was his name?
Aaron?
Aaron.
About,
Want a spelling of his last name? I think I'll give you that. Okay, you got it, it's right there, okay. Cool. Next is Resolution 156 to adopt local law number 8, village land use moratorium. As discussed previously, but this is just a resolution to put it into effect for the next 6 months. So can I have a resolution, I'm sorry, a motion to,
Second.
let me get through it first, please, thank you. Okay. So be it resolved, whereas paragraph incorporated herein by reference as through set forth in full, the village board hereby adopts local law number 8 of 2023 as local law revising and extending a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of certain land development applications in the village of Washingtonville as attached here too as Schedule A. The village clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law into the minutes and said minutes and in the local law book of the village of Washingtonville, and to give due notice to the adoption of said local law by filing the local law in the office of the Secretary of State of New York. Section 4, the mayor and officers, employees, or consultants as directed by their mayor hereby authorized to take any and all such actions necessary to carry out the provision of the resolution. Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
motion.
Motion, have a second, please? Second is Vernon. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next is a resolution 157 to schedule a public hearing on December 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. regarding the adoption of a local law to facilitate the expansion and eligibility for a Board of Ethics volunteer who concurrently serves as an employee of the village, extended residency from current village of Washingtonville to the Orange County.
Have a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion Susan, second Steve. Any questions, comments?
Comment.
Comment.
The reason we did this is because we're short an ethics board member. I put out an ad probably 4 or 5 times and we couldn't get anybody. As per our code, it does require that at least one member be either an elected official or an official and/or an employee of the village. And we couldn't get anybody. So this is just extending that into the county. We're hoping now to get an employee of the village, but they're not now limited to having to live in the village as well.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay. So resolution 158 to accept the offer of dedication related to the High Grove Drive and High Grove subdivision. The meeting for the village board, Village of Washingtonville, was conveyed on November 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. The following resolution was duly offered and seconded. Resolution to accepting offers of dedication related to the High Grove subdivision, whereas Moffett Road Associates, Inc., Rieger Homes, Inc., is the developer of the phased residential development known as High Grove subdivision, the project, and whereas the project is now complete and the developer desires to dedicate the remaining public improvements that have not been previously dedicated to during the prior phases of the project. And whereas such remaining dedications include a road in section 4 of the project, section block and lot 129-1-4.2, and a road in section 4 of the project, section block lot 121-1-2, and whereas the dedication also includes a lot known as parcel A, which is a utility lot containing stormwater ponds and 2 wells to be part of the village water system, section block lot 128-1-1. And whereas the dedicated road and parcel A are collectively referred to as dedicated parcels, and whereas a part of the finalization of the development, the developer is required to submit payment to the village of $35,000 as a final traffic mitigation payment and $50,000 as a final payment towards the recreation fees. And whereas the developer is also required to submit a maintenance bond to the village and developer desires to convert an existing performance bond to the maintenance bond by amending existing letters of credit for such purposes, which has been authorized by the village. And whereas the developer has submitted meets and bound descriptions for the dedicated parcels. Whereas the village engineer and legal counsel have reviewed the various dedication documents and submissions from the developer and determined that such, subject to review of the final form, the documents are satisfactory in the form submitted to the village. And whereas the village board desires to accept the dedicated parcels and finalize the transfers of such parcels to the village and accept required maintenance bonds. Section 1, whereas clause as incorporated herein and set forth in full. Section 2, the village board hereby accepts the offering of dedication for the dedication parcel, section block 129-1-4.2, 129-1-2, and 128-1-1, which includes 2 road dedications in the parcel A utility lot for the dedicated to the village. Section 3, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the acceptance of the dedicated parcels in the final form approved by the village legal counsel. Section 4, the acceptance of dedicated parcels is subject to the submission of all required fees and form of valid payment, including the traffic mitigation of $35,000 and the final recreation payment of $50,000, as well as submission if a final and valid maintenance bond in the form of amended letters of credit for maintenance of the 2 road parcels. Section 5, the acceptance of the dedicated parcels is subject to the developer or its designated agent providing all necessary documents or signature to the village and filing and all of required documents with the Office of Orange County Clerk, and after execution of such documents by all parties, by providing the village with copies of the filed documents reflecting proof of filing with the Orange County Clerk's Office. Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Any questions, comments?
I have a comment, Tom.
Yes,
And there you read off that it's a $50,000 recreation, Parks and Recreation. And previously, you were stating around 87, 90.
right, that's,
What is the actual number?
it's 35 plus 50.
The 35 was stated as being dedicated to something else though, wasn't it? And that-
Yeah, road mitigation, or something,
But, so that's gonna go into the recreation fee?
Yes.
instead of-
correct.
So we're not getting $1,000 per home then?
We, for what was built in these two phases was the balance of the 50,000.
I know they got 12,000 at one point, that was spent on recreation.
Okay,
And then there's 50, so how many homes are over there?
73,
That's 62.
Low 70s.
low 70s, yeah.
Maybe 71, I don't remember.
Doesn't seem like the right number, but whatever.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Who made the motion and seconded it?
I think Steve,
Yeah.
You seconded?
you did the second.
Yeah.
Second was Steve.
Second, and who made the motion?
Vernon.
Vernon, go.
All right, next is Resolution 159 to appoint Jeannie Versuelo as the Village of Washingtonville historian effective this date, Monday, November 20th, 2023. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Done on the motion. Second would be Susan. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next resolution is 160 to approve the public assembly permit for the Washingtonville Events Committee to hold a holiday market Whoville at the Veterans Square on Saturday, December 2nd, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Have a motion, please? Motion. Vern on the motion, second. Steve, second. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 161 to approve a public assembly permit for the Blooming Grove, Washingtonville Chamber of Commerce for the 13th Annual Christmas Parade from Vern Allen Park to E.J. McLaughlin Square on Saturday, December 2nd, between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. A motion, please? Motion, Vern, second. Steve, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is a resolution to authorize the Village Police Department, PBA, to use the Village Hall on Sunday, December 17th at 4 p.m. for their children Christmas party. Have a motion, please. Motion. Steve on the motion, second. It's on Vernon. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is Resolution 163, the authorization acquisition of a dump truck stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $135,000, appropriating a set amount for such purposes and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $135,000 to finance said appropriation. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Steve on the motion, second.
Second.
Susan on the second. Questions, comments?
Dave?
Okay. Yes, Dave?
Did that go out our bid?
It is a, yes, it's a state bid vehicle. And the reason for the purchase also is that we've lost two of our larger dump trucks. Both have been red tagged and cannot be used. Any other comments from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Abstract resolution number 164 to authorize the budget transfers and amendments as necessary to effect the necessary transfers of funds and to pay warrants. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Steve, second. Susan? Question and comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Resolution 165 to approve the permit for Gardner Liquid Mercantile to participate in the Whoville event on December 2nd, 2023, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Veterans Memorial. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Yeah, that seems scary.
Steve, second.
Yeah.
Second.
Donna on the second. Questions, comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is resolution 166 to abolish the civil service position part-time building inspector. Meeting was held at the village board of the Village of Washingtonville, convened on November 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. The following resolution was offered and seconded. Resolution abolishing a civil service position in the village, whereas for reasons of economy and efficiency, the village board has determined that it is in the village's best interest to eliminate the position of part-time building inspector, and whereas the village board desires to abolish such civil service title in the village, now therefore be resolved, section 1, that whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as those set forth in full herein. Section 2, the village board hereby abolishes the position of part-time building inspector, position number 07906. Section 3, the abolishment of the above position shall be deemed effective November 29th, 2023. Any employee currently occupying such position shall be paid through such date. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Questions and adoptions of the foregoing resolution were duly put to a vote on a roll call, which results as follows. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Was there a motion and a second on
I'm
this?
sorry, my mistake. Have a motion. Vernon, second.
Second.
Susan? I'm seeing no questions or comments, and then all in favor, we'll hit 5-0. Thank you. That brings us back to any public comment for anyone who has anything to bring up on agenda, off agenda, anything in general. Yes, Chris?
Just want to clarify that it was not the backhoe that was damaged, it was the excavator at Memorial Park.
Oh, okay. Which, that was the smaller one or the larger one? Yes,
We only have one, the Kubota
the Kubota
excavator.
excavator, okay. Okay. We'll make that correction, thank you. And has anybody heard from the insurance company? I haven't heard.
Christine's handling that,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Yeah, she was out today, so I'll follow up with her tomorrow and see if there's any news on that. Any other public comment?
Tom, I
Yes.
just want to go back to Mr. Haggerty's question regarding the payments for the recreation.
Mhm.
When we went to go settle up these accounts with Beager, you and I sat down with Ian and the maps and everything. They did provide us with canceled checks. One was 15,000, one was 18,000. and then we have the last one tonight for the 50,000. Our problem is we don't know where those checks were deposited.
I do know at one point they took 12,000, bought all new plastic slides for the parks.
That project's been going on, I think it took them 5 years to build out on it. I'm just saying, they finally finished it last year. We just, again, we're doing all these audits to try and figure out where
The money went.
went.
That's why I think we should be more fiscally responsible rather than, we get a lot of robocalls. What are the cost of robocalls? Why are we getting new garbage cans? Why don't we wait? We didn't have them for 20 years.
I understand
No,
your,
it's-
your frustration.
Taxes are gonna go up because you want it to look nice. Everybody wants to look nice. But you don't wanna take the bulge out of your back pocket at the same time.
Right,
We're
We
trying to
spent-
stop the garbage from being placed on the ground.
Well, people are coming from out of town and putting bags of garbage in there too, just like they were before. I walk around, I drive the bike around a lot, and you see just insanity. People stop, get out of the car, 2 bags of garbage in there.
Yeah.
They're not big ones, they're little,
Yeah,
Diet
we're
Coke.
constantly downtown with the cans outside.
yeah, so you're paying for somebody else's home refuge.
Yeah.
And we're still hearing there's not enough cans.
yeah.
There's probably not. But at this point, we need to buy them with being in the, as far as I'm concerned, you're stating we're in such bad financial state, we shouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff.
Well, we're spending money that's not ours where we can. Again, the paving for the pickleball and everything, we knew what was gonna be coming in with Rieger. We sat down, it was about an hour-and-a-half meeting,
Mhm.
going over all the financials of it, and it was sad that we had to ask them for copies of checks, because we couldn't prove where it went.
Or it came in. We had no idea.
So they were kind enough to supply that to us, so we could get the accounting straight.
Right.
As far as like the paving, that's CHIPS money. We're not spending taxpayer money on that. The concrete that was done is part of a revitalization grant. So we're spending money that's the free money out there. We're not spending taxpayer money. Let me tell you, you got a bunch of economically frugal people sitting up here.
Well, that's good, but he didn't make it sound like, he said we're using the village money to do this and we'll get reimbursed.
Yeah.
But I think we had a street sweeper, it took 5 years to get the money back.
We haven't gotten that money
We haven't
back.
gotten it back
So you
yet.
still haven't gotten it back. So
No.
they spent the village money to get this money from the government back. So we're still out, is it 135 for the street sweeper?
250.
250?
Because they threw in a paving
And I just
project.
signed off on the final paperwork.
You're sticking your neck out, it's gonna get cut off if you keep on doing it.
Well, there are certain times when you know, like the 250, we had no idea, so we pursued it. And by the luck of chance, and taking care of paperwork and doing things, whatever the heck they needed us to do, we're gonna get reimbursed at $250,000. So that money, a lot of this stuff that we're getting, Sean, believe it, we're kind of taking this money and we're putting it into potential reserve accounts. Because this village hasn't, when we're doing this budget, it's a zero budget. The only way we know what we can potentially be dealing with this coming year with a budget is what we've spent. Because the other previous year's budgets were not even close to being accurate from a revenue, from an expense. Department heads weren't involved in the process. I mean, there were breakdowns all along this domino trail. So at the end of the day, you know, we're taking 7-8 months worth of expenses and that's gonna roll, and we're gonna just multiply it out and figure out where we are and do some more digging and see if we can find stuff. But we found, just, you know, I mentioned the 250. We're sitting on $100,000. I've signed off on the paperwork. Hopefully we can get this grant for $100K for the work that we just did up on Emerson and Seacourt. It's a DOT grant. Hopefully that comes through. From EFC, there was $1,040,000 sitting out in EFC, hanging on to our money, because I believe the village spent the money out of our coffers to pay the contractors that were doing the work at the sewer plant. So that money has been sitting up there for 4 years, 5 years, or whatever, and just hanging out. So we happened to have a conference call when we were working on
this bond stuff because of the deficit when we ran into, because $1.6 million was written out in 2 weeks. So we make a phone call, we're talking to this guy, all of a sudden he goes, well, no, you got a lot of stuff up here yet. I'm like, what are you talking about? So now, I'm going through 3 ring binders, a dozen of them, trying to find the paperwork, if it was filled out. And then if it isn't, I'm trying to get the paperwork to fill out so that we can submit it. So we already received $190,000, which goes right back into the sewer fund. We just got, gonna be getting, we had
97.
wired actually, last week was $24,500 for the bond council's fee. That money went right back into the sewer plant, and we're trying to create little funds so we can see what the heck we got. Because the worst thing that I hate is that that kind of money, and that quantity, and the amount of money, goes right back into your, your family checking account, and where does it go? Utility bills, food,
Spend it.
clothing, it's gone. But when you get a nice big fat check like this, we're trying to save it, hold it, to see what can develop and what we can do it if we need to. The chief's budget is a perfect example with the SRO programs, right, with the
School resource.
school resource officers, right? So at the end of the day, what we're doing there is we're taking the money that we incorporate from that, rather than putting it into the budget for officers' salaries, because if you lose, if you have a budget problem and you lose those, I'm trying to explain, if you lose those guys, right, you lose that money. So what we're, rather than dumping it into salaries, we're trying to take that money and put it into a reserve fund. So he's been in need for a police car for well over a year. In 2 checks, we're able to probably go out and buy this police car, because we'll be able to use it for capital items, equipment items, things like that, that we don't, again, we can be more cautious and careful with the budget, and not maybe potentially raising it, because this is SRO taxpayer money coming out of the school district.
But are we still paying the officers and just getting reimbursed, but using that reimbursed money for something
No,
else?
we would be, that money would be coming out of the tax base in the village, rather than taking that money right now and using it and dumping it right into the multi-fund. Trying to take that money and put it into an account and accumulate some money to see what we need to do. Because we're still trying to figure out, again, all the expenses that the village is spending on. We're trying to break it up, because we paid so much out of 21 and 22 and 20 that and there's no accounting system, so that it's like trying to pick up 1,000 pieces of a puzzle and put it together in 5 minutes. They're all over the place.
The problem is, it seems to go on with every new administration. I'm up here 30-something years, and it seems like every administration that comes in, there's financial problems, money from light, sewer, everything. Every administration, nothing is passed down from
Not
one to
like
the
this.
next.
Not like this.
Well, I don't know if it's like this, because I don't know what it is. You haven't put anything
What
on the
it's like
table.
is, it's $4.4 million that we had to borrow to pay back the funds and see the trending of money spent 3/4 of the year, and then nothing spent, and then as soon as the next budget hits, that's when the checks were written.
Somebody came in here, I forget which mayor it was, and they opened up a drawer and found all the bills from 3 years worth that weren't paid.
That was us.
Us.
No, it was the previous administration. I
Yeah.
think it was Hudson's that left them
I
there.
found day one, second drawer down,
It's
left
not
side,
uncommon, that's the sad thing
going
about
on.
it.
And it all had termination dates, and it was that day. I'll never, April 3rd, never forget. I'm on the phone with the IT guy trying to figure out how to log into the system. I said, I gotta call you back, I got a bigger problem right now. I said, every account, sewer plant, water, they were gonna shut the electric off on the pumps. Can you just imagine that? Yeah, bad.
I don't think
Okay,
they're allowed to
so
shut
I've
off
seen
water.
bad, but this is
The
bad.
audit's still going on, we'll get some answers.
All right, I'd like to see the answers, because like I said, it's every administration comes in, something's screwed up with money.
We all do.
You know, Sean, municipal accounting is a challenge, to say the least. You're spending other people's money, that's number one. What had happened here, and over time, I'm like you up here 30 years, is keeping track of where does it go. We went from finally having it somewhat organized on an accounting system called Edmunds. Well, Edmunds was tossed away, and the village accounting was done on QuickBooks. Rather than each department having their own budget, this is what they spend for electric, this is what they spend for internet, this is what this department spends. Everything was put into commingled services as shared services. So how do we go and sit there and know how much does it cost exactly to run a police department when a lot of their maintenance and stuff is grouped in with other departments, vehicle repair. So we have to straighten out that mess and figure out exactly what does each and every single department that falls under the Village of Washingtonville cost you, the taxpayers, to run. And we're looking at everything from the building department. That's why we did away with tonight the part-time inspector, because that department isn't bringing in the funds, nor does it have enough work to warrant having a second body in it.
Plus, we're in a moratorium right now, so there's not a lot coming in.
You
But
know,
we still have
I
a
mean,
full-time
for
building
24, we're
inspector.
starting from
Yes.
ground zero.
Yeah,
so
we do.
we're looking
You
at
can't
all
go off
those
of a
things.
previous budget, because there really wasn't one, so we're starting over.
So, and yes, I was like you, after Hudson left, why did my taxes go up, 25%? And I remember walking
They
down
had
here
to stack
saying,
bills
oh,
like
it's
that,
only
same as
for
you're
2
saying is
years.
going on now.
So, the questions you ask of us, we ask ourselves every day. What are we doing for the residents that's gonna give them the most amount of service with the least tax increase? And it's a hard line to walk, and keeping track of it is a hard line.
I'll say what the water bills we get, most villages are paying a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, we
they
just
are.
do
So
that.
we're doing very well.
Check one out, check Warwick.
Yeah, they
Well, a lot of
just,
them.
They just had one massive increase, both commercially and residential.
But it'd be better to go up slowly than
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
explode.
And I have asked Leslie, who is our treasurer, at the end of this year, I need to know, are we bringing in enough revenue to pay our water and sewer bills? We're trying to get more day-to-day things done before we go there. But again, yeah, that department has to be self-sufficient in paying. And unfortunately, that comes 100% out of the residents. So we're looking at ways to do that. We've actually looking at ways to increase the revenue by changing the meters, that helps. And maybe getting a better system for that as well.
Yeah. I mean, every quarter, we're wasting close to a month of FTEs taking care of the water, walking around, collecting the data. That takes 2, potentially 3 weeks, right? Going with the wand, taking the information, writing it on a piece of paper. How many times have we said this? Nausea. And then that information comes in big black books. And those books are then handed off to Susan, and then she sits there and does data entry like it's 1972. There are systems out there, we had a presentation today. Yeah, does it cost money? Yes, but the other side of the coin is, between what leaves the wells and comes through the sewer plant, we can't account for almost 35% of the water. It's not being billed for. So the meters are not accurately reading what's going on. Meters' livelihood is about 15 to 20 years. We have meters out here well beyond that, 30 years, 40 years.
So you're saying more water is going into the sewer than you're selling? What about all these?
It's not being
like, the
registered,
chillers
that's the problem.
and the air conditioners that dumped into the sewers? And a lot of people do dump them right into the sewer instead of, well,
You get that, and you get the INI too, I mean, that's when you
Yeah,
get heavy
it's a lot.
rains, you get that problem, yeah, that's out there. But it's a big amount, and we sat here back in 2014, I remember bringing in the same company, and I still have their presentation and their pricing. But, what they do today, this system is a new meter. It's we're getting some prices somewhere between $3 and $3.50 a meter.
and it costs $150 to have it installed. And, you know, hopefully everybody cooperates and lets us in and we can change all the meters. But it really, at the end of the day, you have an app on your phone or your PC, this thing reads your meter 4 times a day. It can tell you if you have a leak. It can tell you a lot of different things. Smart, you know, like the electrical smart meters, well, these are smart water meters. They can give you all sorts of information. We don't have to go out and do a final reading. We don't have to go out and check something. All we gotta do is go to the computer, and this information can ping us information, send you a text if there's a problem. You're ahead of the game. Right now, we're trying to change, probably, potentially, we're thinking, up to 400 meters that are bad. And never mind the software issues that we've been dealing with. So there's like two big things. But we bought the Edmunds system for the financial package. We're gonna go live on that in February. So our accounting system will be installed. It'll be running on that. We have the Edmunds Building Inspector software. That will be integrated into it, so there'll be no missing links of payments and escrow accounts from builders. All that money will be accounted for. And then flipping it to the utility side, the water and sewer billing, that we bought with the financial system, but it wasn't part of the go live for February, because we wanted to get, we're dying because we have no idea, you know, money-wise, what the hell's going on. So that was really the big push. So we're gonna then convert over to utility, and that will be a home run, because all this thing does is ping all day long. You press a button, that's the end of the period. The money, the bills are generated, and you print.
You don't have to send guys out to the houses.
Nobody has to walk.
Anymore. I mean, we're spending probably $120,000 a year sending people out, you know, a couple weeks every 3 months. It's a lot of money. We're
It's a
gonna
subcontract or something, isn't it? That's not the village people anymore.
It's the H2O guys, yes, they're doing the meter changing. We're trying to build up our staff. We used to be 12, 13 guys. We're 10. You know, at best, we had somebody out, you know, with medical. But, you know, we could use those guys to do the meter changes once everything is up and running, and we don't have to pay, you know, premium wages of $87 an hour to have somebody change meters. It's insanity.
So, and the contract for H2O is a 5-year contract that was signed weeks before we came into office, so we're kind of in a rock and a hard place on that. The nice thing about the Edmunds is people will be able to look up and pay their taxes and their water bills when the water gets integrated right off our website.
Yeah.
I like to write checks.
I'll remember that. You can still write checks, but for the generation that likes to go to a website and pay online, it will give them that option.
The other good thing about
Kids
these
that
systems,
don't even know what a dollar looks like, or coins,
No, you
nothing.
can't make change, yes.
Nothing.
these,
Still have your
these,
check for the school tax bill.
I like
the
to
other
write
nice
for
thing is you
everything.
have the check readers too. You won't, right now, they have to handwrite all the checks on a deposit ticket and deliver it to the bank. These systems will have scanners. Everything will be read right there and deposited every day.
Yeah, I have to, not only is there the data entry of the meter reading, the data entry to run the bills, there's also the data entry of putting in all those checks.
Right, it's a lot. No, I understand, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
But we just, you know, we're looking at time
time is
with the
money.
amount of people. You know, we don't wanna hire and just keep hiring people, because that's not the answer, right? It's, you know, work smarter, get the right systems, get the right technologies, and you have the right balance, it works. So, that's what we're trying to do. Anything else, folks? Because otherwise we have a need to jump into executive session for some personnel issues and contracts. We would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving week, dinner with family, friends. Make the best of it. Thank you.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.